hacking your financial brain, and stoic leadership. Is it really the best way to lead? Maybe. Enjoy. Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. This is a show all about my business adventures and side quests. If you don't know, I own such businesses as 3T Warrior Academy, Freedom Insurance, Blockheads, which brings you Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, Age of Radio, which is one of my favorites that we were gearing up and doing all kinds of stuff with. One of the things that we're doing with Age of Radio is we are going to Tucson Comic Con. So if you've never been to Tucson Comic Con, go ahead. And if you're in the Arizona, Tucson area, head on over to TucsonComicCon.com and check it out. William Shatner is going to be there. Brian Polito, Danny, I forgot Danny's last name. He's going to freaking kill me. Danny. He created the Night of the Gabagool. He's one of my good friends. He's going to be there. And then Jay Photos is also going to be there, a comic book artist that we know. But if I don't get Danny's last name right, he's going to beat my butt. He's going to beat my butt. Danny Marianino. And I'm also going to have him on my podcast here soon to talk about a new book that he is writing. And I'm also going to be getting so many more people on my podcast, recording with them and doing all kinds of cool, dope stuff. Because that's what we do around here. We do dope stuff. And if you want more dope stuff, dope insights and updates, head on over to my Instagram broadcast channel, Dope Insights and Updates. Again, I'm still working on how to get that going because one of my main focal points right now is getting the Markets Radar show moving forward. We're doing that on Tuesdays and Saturdays, currently on this feed. It is a show about stocks, bonds, crypto, foreign exchange, any market, anything in between, and I give you my take on what it all means. We're going to be eventually moving that to its own specific feed, but for right now, it's on the Age of Jeremy feed, but we have a lot of great things in store, so I'm focusing on that, and then I'm going to kind of focus on what to do with my Dope Insights and Updates channel, because I think that those types of communities and subscribing to those things and offering extra content to people for absolutely free is one of the main things that creators can be doing. If you do like entertainment, pop culture, and all that kind of fun stuff, you should check out our Mercury by Age of Radio YouTube show. It is a show about podcasting and pop culture news. I'm really excited because Tucson Comic Con actually asked us to be at their event. And we have media badges. We're going to be doing a run and gun style show like we did this last year at WonderCon. And I have access to interview or to request to interview any of the guests, which I'm going to be setting that up this week. And yes, I am going to request to interview the William Shatner. And that actually kind of makes me nervous because I like asking really difficult, funny questions. Maybe not funny questions, difficult questions, questions that make people think. That's why I like sitting down and talking to people, because I want to know something about them that other people don't know. And so I'm hoping that I don't mess up the William Shatner interview and ask him something ridiculous like, does he feel like he's living in the shadow of Captain Kirk and he's never done anything worthwhile? And he would probably get mad at me for that kind of question. So I'm gonna have to think that through. Yeah, definitely gonna have to think that through. But if you listen to Markets Radar this last week, we have new sound effects on this show as well. Listen to this. That was a ginormous cash ringing sound that I probably need to turn the gain down on the actual sound itself. I don't know really how to do that. Here, let me try this. Let's see if this does it even. I think that maybe did that lower it? Hold on, let's try one more time. Let's try one more cash sound. Oh, that was it. That was the stuff right there. That was the stuff. Yeah, I found sound effects on Mercury, and now we have all kinds of sound effects that I use all the time. And for me, it makes the show more exciting. I have no idea how other people feel about it. They probably find it really annoying, but that's okay. Because again, I like doing things that I would like to listen to, and that's something that I would like to listen to. If you're brand new to this show, again, it's about my business adventures and side quests. The main show is broken up between two parts. One part, we talk about personal finances and things that I would like to share with you about managing your wealth, because the thing that I'm very adamant about in financial education is no matter what your career path is, every one of us should be investors. Every one of us should know personal finance. Every one of us should be maintaining and growing our personal finance brand. And that's one of the things that I like to do with this show. Maybe that's what I'll do with Dope Insights and Updates, like a live Instagram where I answer questions about finances, or I don't know. I just feel like the information that's out there, they make it way too complicated, and I want to kind of make it easier for people to understand, right? I don't know. That's just how I feel. That's how I feel about life, making life easier to understand. So to kick us off, I want to talk about hacking your financial brain. I want you to think about how you spend money in your business and personal life. The modern digital environment has eliminated almost all of that friction. In fact, I'm drinking BlackRock right now that I ordered off a DoorDash, and I haven't gotten groceries in a grocery store. Well, I mean, they come from a grocery store, but I haven't been in a grocery store in years. You order groceries on an app, you summon a ride-share car with one touch and wave your phone to pay things. I wish more people did that. It would speed things up. You never swipe a card, you never handle cash, and you barely even think about the transaction. Now, I like cash. I don't use cash when I travel. When I travel, I use cash. I usually swipe my card for things or tap it, right? So when we think about it, we've changed the way in which we understand how banking transactions work, right? We're in a seamless marketplace, right? And it's a marketing masterpiece, but it's a disaster for businesses' bottom line, for your business's bottom line, for your personal bottom line. When spending becomes so effortless, your subconscious takes over. Okay. So to fight back, we must produce this intentional strategic friction. Okay. And so my absolute favorite tool for this is kind of like using a manual card, or you could go back to using cash. I wouldn't recommend that, especially when we're trying to live in a world of digital currency. But when we think about it, we need to be cognizant of what we're doing and how we're managing our money. Now, these tips, I'm going to go through them. They come through a Wall Street Journal personal finance article, and I'm going to give my thoughts about it along the way as well. Okay, so when you're checking out on a shopping site for your business or your personal, your browser will inevitably ask, you want to save this card for a faster checkout. Your answer should always be no, and never save your details. That's why I'm hesitant on setting up my PayPal account with anything, because once you do that or you save that information, it makes it so you can easily purchase. So you never stop to really think about what you're purchasing to go and get your card. If I have to go and get my card and I'm lying in bed to buy something, 8 out of 10 times I'm not going to get up and get my card to buy it. By forcing yourself to physically grab your wallet and hand type those digits, expiration dates, and security codes, you're creating a crucial barrier. You force your brain to slow down. Those extra 15 seconds of manual impact act as a circuit breaker for your subconscious impulse. So as you type, your conscious brain has time to step in and ask, wait a minute, is this reoccurring subscription actually vital to what I'm trying to accomplish in my life, right? Some of this stuff is geared towards businesses, but you can think about your personal finance as a business. Everything in the world is an organization, right? Your family is an organization, you're an organization, you're a brand. Your personal finances and your family finances are an organization. And the more that people understand organizational leadership and organizational theory, they can apply those concepts to their personal life, right? It doesn't mean that the world has to act like a business that has to be negotiating, has to have a marketplace. It's just from an organizational structure. The more that you have SOPs in place for your life, the more processes in place for your life, the more productive you can be. And this is one that you could use, right? When you're out, force yourself to use your debit card, or if you're following Dave Ramsey, force yourself to use cash, because debit pulls directly from active cash balances. So it forces you to think much more consciously about the exact dollar amount leaving your account. So for example, when Maria, my partner, and I went to Disneyland, No, we went to Universal Studios for her birthday. I gave her a set amount of cash and I gave myself a set amount of cash. That was the main cash that we could use at the park. So it put a limit on what we could actually spend. So we didn't just buy whatever we wanted, especially in not to make this sound arrogant or anything, but especially in my position where I have so much money, it makes it even easier to just buy because you have, right? Like it used to be like $100 used to be like, so $20 used to be $20. Now $100 feels like $20 for me. Now $1,000 to $2,000 probably feels more like $20. And I know that might sound arrogant or whatever, but that's the way in which money can change your perception of money, right? And I don't personally want to be that way. I want to be very cognizant of the things that I am specifically buying, because we can invest more, we can give more, we can provide more, and that's what people should do as they gain wealth, not just hoard it. And that's just my personal opinion, but that's my opinion. Okay. But then there's also these impulses. We have impulse bundles where you feel the urge to buy a package of assets or a package of tools or a package of stuff at any specific time. And when that shopping craving strikes, try the 24-hour cart hold. Give yourself permission to add absolutely everything you want to your digital cart, fill it up, but under one rule, you cannot check it out. You must close the tab and wait 24, I would even say wait 48 hours to see if you really, really need it before you specifically buy it. A lot of the times, unless it's something that I really, really am working to add to my equipment, to do a project or to help maintain something a lot quicker, right? I usually try to sit on it for a while to really let it digest to see if it's something that I specifically need. You could also ask your partner about it or a friend about it if it's something that you should get. For example, there was a $400 keyboard that was a Go Keys 3 by Roland. Roland's one of my favorite music companies. I have one of their Go Keys 5. That's a keyboard that I have in my house that I use to practice when I have time. And I wanted the Go 3 because it was yellow and it was based off of the Minions. And I asked, which I could easily buy. $300, it's nothing, right? It's like $20 to me. And so I could have easily bought it, but I asked Maria, I was like, should I have this? And she asked me some questions. Well, one, do you have a place to put it? Do you need it? You already have a keyboard. I was like, you're right. I really don't need this. Okay. And those are the kinds of decisions that we need to think about. Those are the kinds of thinking and questions that we need to ask ourselves when it's about buying something, because when we spend frivolously without any type of process, that's when we can get it out of control and not and get our finances out of whack, which it's easy to get them out of whack and it's a lot harder to get them back on track. But what if you do close the tab and you put all this stuff in your cart and you close the tab? That leads us to what's called a temptation swap. Let's say you were about to spend $150 on an upgrade you realize you didn't need. Instead of leaving that money in checking where it will eventually drift away, immediately transfer that exact dollar amount into your business investments or savings account. This is one of the best things that you could possibly do instead of buying something. So let's say you have the money to purchase something and it wasn't like money that you were putting on a credit card for debt, right? And in the case of my Go Keys 3, right? Let's say I was going to buy that and then I changed my mind, it's $300. Take that $300 right away and put it into a savings account, or more importantly, into an investment account. That's what we call temptation swapping. Okay. This is how you turn a tempted impulse spend into an actual compounding asset growth. And over a span of years, these small rerouted decisions have a massive compounding effect on your financial runway. You're taking capital destined to disappear anyways on a side quest and locking it into a secure vault to fund your core business or your core generational wealth building or whatever it is, right? And if you can take that money and put it into something that gives you dividend income, like we teach in our Capital DR system, then that would be even better. And that's how you can have these extra things to put in there. The other thing that I've heard that people do sometimes, I don't do this. The temptation swap I've done. But you could also say, okay, it was $300. I can buy it, but then I also have to put $300 into an investment account. Okay, so you kind of like do a match purchase into the investment account or into the savings account to have it build over time. Now, building these habits isn't about a single heroic effort. It's about repetition. And if you've listened to myself and Coach JV talk about our discipline. Our discipline is repetition. The more disciplined and the more repetitive you are, the better you will become, and you'll be able to keep your goals at the top of your mind during your busiest work days. Okay. You can also have a reoccurring calendar trigger. So schedule a weekly 10-minute reoccurring event on your calendar and label it something action oriented, like move $20 toward my main savings goal. The other thing I like to do is I like to set up all these on a reoccurring things. For example, silver has pulled back a little bit. So I restarted investing in silver, not only in junk silver, but stackable silver. And so again, the way that I set those up is I always do is it through AppMex. You can check it out at appmex.com. I'm not sponsored by them. They just make it easy because they have this auto invest feature where it automatically invests. But you could do something like this where you move $20 towards a main savings goal. This could be even an extra thing that you do. Let's say you put in your reoccurring buys and you have those things automated, and then you put this other thing in that's every month that says, hey, take $100 and look at putting it somewhere else or saving it. And you have this thing that this reoccurring event that takes place to remind you of what it is that's important to you and what it is that you're saving for. So when you see this notification flash on your phone, it'll force a moment of conscious reflection. It breaks the noise of your busy routine and bring your financial priorities straight into your attention. One of the things you can do is you can get a little sound effect like this that plays when it goes off. Maybe you put that on your phone and you're just standing there or walking along and you hear cha-ching, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go move money, right? I know that these things could sound weird or redundant or boring, but the truth is success is really fucking boring. You get into routines, you get into habits, you do the same things over and over again. You have really good breakthroughs. Then you have a moment of of people just all over you about your success, and then it goes away and you keep building, and then that happens again. And it's just a repetitive, boring thing. And that's how your finances need to be. Now, my partner, Maria, she jokes with me because I have an email called cjq.shop@outlook.com. But the reason why I have that is because I have an inbox commitment to shopping. Okay. We're constantly bombarded with emails promising exclusive discounts, flash sales. And to stop this, I have a specific email that's set up for that. You could have a specific folder that's set up for deals. You can manage it however you like. But essentially what it does is it creates a filter that automatically routes all promotional emails there, completely skipping your main inbox. And what this does is it creates a shift in power dynamic. Instead of promotions constantly tempting you to spend, you decide exactly when to shop. So that's why I have it set up as specifically an email, because what that allows me to do is whenever I'm in a store and there's a place that I like buying stuff. I want to know about the products that I love. I want to know when Roland has something new. I want to know when Shure Microphone does, Neumann. I want to know when new software's coming out, but I don't want that bombarded into my main inbox. I want it set up somewhere so I can go and actively look for it, right? A lot of success is based off of actively or being proactive in the things that you're doing. And so when you're moving that and you're creating this break and from being tempted to spend, you have the ability to actively look at those things and decide if that's something that you want to buy. Okay. And this can go for your business. It can go for personal, that you need a specific tool, or when you need something specific, you can open that deals folder or your shopping email. You can find a discount. You can find out what they have, see if it's something that gives you meets one of your needs, and then you can buy it. Okay. And it's a really good thing to do because it allows you to separate that from the regular things that pull us into looking at emails all day or buying things or being tempted. It's like Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat or whatever it is, when he was tempted by the woman and he just ran away. That's what it does. It's just like you running away from the deals. That's what's happening in this situation. And the other thing that they talk about in this article, which I've never heard of, it's called the 10 p.m. rule. The other ones I kind of do to some extent. This rule is an absolute rule. It is an absolute. And so what that means is at this specific time, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, but you do no online shopping or purchasing after 10 p.m. I would set it up even earlier, especially because I like to wind down around 10 p.m. But I guess if 10 p.m. is when you're winding down, you would not want to go on and buy something. So when you have a long day of working and your mental energy is depleted, your willpower is at its lowest, right? People think that we have unlimited amounts of willpower. If you have willpower, if you have discipline, you don't. Okay. And so what ends up happening throughout the day is as you have like every person based off of their like ability for stress, they have like this maximum amount of willpower. And every time that you make a decision in your day, that willpower slowly gets sucked away from that bucket. And so if at 10 p.m., when it's at its lowest, you're being bombarded with purchasing stuff, you're going to be more likely to buy stuff that you don't actually need or don't even care about because your willpower has just been depleted for the day. Okay. And again, that's kind of where discipline comes in. But even then, if you have a lot of discipline, the discipline would be just stop at 10 o'clock, don't go on and look at stuff, right? Okay. And so you're making highly vulnerable. So again, your willpower is at its lowest at 10 p.m., making you highly vulnerable to convincing yourself that a late night purchase is necessary for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Okay. Nothing good financially happens after 10 p.m. in general, whether you're at your house or somewhere else. So just get off of your phone. Don't buy stuff. Don't look at ads. Don't go on Instagram. Just leave it alone. And you're less likely to make impulse decisions because you have a process in place, right? What did I say that makes people successful? SOPs and processes, running things like an organization. That's all that these are. These are structured things that are in your life that you follow to help you become successful. Okay. Right. I've been spending the last year trying to be able to build up my relationship with American Express so they'll offer me a platinum card. And I know that that's a weird thing for people. That's just a goal of mine, that I want a Centurion, their black card or their Centurion card. And one day in the future, hopefully within the next year or so, I'll have one, right? It's an exclusive card that you get asked to, but I needed to start from the bottom. So I started with the gold card, just got asked to get the platinum card, got the platinum card, and now I'm going to keep working to build my relationship with them so they give me a Centurion card. Okay. And so the point is that, again, you have to have your goal set in place and you have to have processes to meet those goals. And that's all that this specifically is. This is something that lets you move forward based off of a set process or policy for your household that everybody is in alignment, and especially yourself is in alignment with. Okay. But you might be thinking that aren't these little mind hacks and daily spending limits a bit silly for a serious business owner or for a serious, entrepreneur or intrapreneur, right? If they're trying to scale their business, if they're trying to scale their life, shouldn't they be focusing on high level, maybe tax strategies, spreadsheets, rather than worrying about manual typing and credit card numbers or ignoring late night emails? Okay. This is a business concept for it, but it goes for either personal or business. Okay. But the thing is a lot of people might have that kind of question, like, isn't this stupid? They look at those hacks and they think they're too simplistic or they lack real teeth because there's no actual penalty for breaking them. But here's what behavioral economics tells us. The practical side of finance is actually the easier. Anyone can build a spreadsheet, they can write a financial plan, but it's the behavioral part that's harder, which is what I'm always trying to tell everyone on this podcast, what I'm trying to tell you on this podcast. We like to think we are perfectly logical, but we're not, especially when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're trying to manage multiple projects at once. Our subconscious autopilot constantly pulls us towards convenience and immediate gratification, no matter who you are. And these simple mind hacks, or what I like to say processes, are powerful precisely because they interrupt the autopilot. They don't need teeth to work. They work because they reshape your attention. Okay, right? That's why gamification works on a lot of things, is setting a soft daily spending limit. You instantly become hyper aware of every dollar leaving your account. Once you see that these types of policies or these hacks work in your daily lives, you can see that your cash reserves start to build up. You naturally start to follow them. Okay. One of the things that people are always talking to me, there's like, I have a bunch of money. What do I put it in to grow it? And how do I get it to this amount as fast as possible? It's like the stupid tortoise, right? I love tortoises. I love turtles. They're one of my favorite animals, but they frustrate the crap out of me. Sometimes I have two giant sulcata tortoises, but that guy, he's building a new home next to a water drip. And Raphael is his name, so he's not a guy, he's a tortoise. And he's digging a new hole that's next to a water drip, and it gives him more access to water. Smart guy, okay? Because it's dry as hell outside. And every day he wakes up in the morning, he makes a little bit of digging, he goes back to bed, he gets up, he walks around, it's hot, he lays there in the mud, he digs a little bit more in the afternoon. He does the same thing over and over and over again, and he has built a giant ass hole in the yard for himself to live in. And he's done it multiple times now. There's holes all over the backyard. But the point is that is that when you when you have a repetitive process, that's where you start to see things build. And so when I'm telling clients, no, find the process, start the process, get used to the process, and the longer that you do it, you'll have 6-7 figures saved up for whatever it is that you're trying to save up. And people think that if it's like $20 a week, they think that it's too little. But it's not. Just do $20 a week, and then set up one of those calendar reminders for every month. Look to see if you have an extra $100, put it in a thing. That ends up being like $180 a month, right? $180 over a year is over $1,000 over the year, right? And then you compound that, and if that doubles every 7 years, for every $2,000 or $1,200 you put in there, it doubles every 7 years. But then the doubling doubles, so the following year the next 4,000 is going to double, and so forth. And that's the power of compounding. It's the boringest second thing on the planet, but the longer that you do it, if you started that at 20, everybody would be rich. So don't look at the simple things. It's the little things that matter. It's those small, little, annoying things that make the largest and the biggest differences in any organization, in any business, in any family. It's the little things that count. We'll be right back. Stoicism is a really big topic. If we look centuries into the past, standing at the crossroads of two legendary traditions of self-mastery, there's Roman Stoicism, championed by Marcus Aurelius, which is all the talk of the world right now because of Stoicism and men needing better people to look up to than fucking Andrew, go fuck yourself, Tate. Or I guess Andrew, I rape a lot of women, Tate. Or Andrew, I beat up a lot of women, Tate. Or whatever. Right. And so when you look at the manosphere and what people are needing, I would say that Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism is a much better thing that people need to look up to. And I would also go and say, as the Japanese samurai code crystallized by Miyamoto Musashi is also something people need to look up to. And from a non-Christian perspective, even people like Jesus, people should probably look up to a little bit better, and not be specifically Christians in the sense of the religion, but we're not going to go into that. A Roman emperor, and a wandering samurai seem to have nothing really in common, yet both lived in constant combat and both realized the ultimate victory is not over enemies, but over your own mind. And that's one of the key principles of leadership. And as I go into leading more people, leading our philanthropy, leading our foundation, leading our family, all the things that we're working on to build our empire here in my household and so forth, is that you have to look at things that can make you better, and you have to constantly be working to be better. And one of the things that I've been looking a lot about is Stoicism and samurai wisdom, and then modern leadership, right? But there's also the pitfall of Stoic empathy, which we're going to talk about as well. But first, let's talk about Roman Stoicism. In the Emperor's Handbook, Marcus Aurelius builds his entire leadership model on the dichotomy of control. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Okay, and that's a very Buddhist philosophy as well. That's why I think it goes a little bit into Miyamoto Musashi. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You will never have free will unless you know how to control how you feel. Now, in business, you can't control competitor movements. You can't control market shifts. You can't control client whims. Trying your peace of mind to external outcomes, or tying your peace of mind to external outcomes leads to burnout. And so a Stoic leader accepts this uncertainty and focuses solely on what is in their control, which is their decisions, their communication, and their reactions. Okay, if we look at Miyamoto Musashi in his final work, the Dokudo, he lays down 21 rules for a self-reliant life. Okay. Again, one of the core things that I think that we as men and leaders have gone away from, and women and families, is we don't have the ability to cook our own food, grow our own food. One of the things that attracts me the most to my partner right now is that she's really into growing her own plants. Well, growing plants and then growing food and having a homestead. And it's reminded me that I got started getting so far away from that because of money. And I think that when you should be, money should give you, rather than money giving you the ability to not do that stuff, money should give you the ability and the resources to learn how to do that stuff better than other people. And that's really where I'm at, and what I've changed my viewpoint and mindset on. Not saying that you can't have help in certain areas, but we have forgotten how to do things with our own hands and to be what we would think about as a self-reliant society. We've moved completely away from that. And this is not passive surrender. It's brutal strategic honesty. When a major project fails, denying reality is a waste of energy. You must accept things as they are to adapt and to build a logical plan. For example, I read a document wrong and I told CJV or Coach JV a specific number about a specific situation. And after I realized my error, I apologized to him, took ownership of it, and then said I was going to do this, this, and this to make it better. That's all that has to happen. Right? You need to make it better when there is an error, and you need to have a logical plan to make it better. Musashi also writes, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. This is the ultimate antidote to the ego-driven executive. To lead, your personal ego cannot matter. What matters is the deep downstream impact of your choices on your team and the people around you. When I look at my principles of compassion, integrity, leaving the world better than I found it, and building the team or growing the team and protecting the team, or team, clan is what I use this team in that situation, right? That's our responsibility, is to build those people, grow those people, and protect those people. And I look at those people as the people that are around me, the people in my businesses, and the people in my family, right? Both philosophies teach strategic detachment. Musashi advises, do not have a favorite weapon, meaning you must remain flexible, master all tools, and never cling to a single strategy. Be fluid like water, control your mind, and lead with absolute composure, which is also why I think if I practice one kick 1,000 times, a person only needs to know how to block one fucking kick, right? Anyways, that's my personal opinion on someone who could probably whoop my ass, which is Bruce Lee. But anyways, moving right along. But here's where we have to think about this, though, because blindly copying these ancient models in a modern organization could be a recipe for cultural disaster. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we have to find a middle ground between these things. Because me being a Libra, I tend to always never be balanced. I'm always going one way. I'm always stressed over here, and then less stressed over here, and then more stressed over here, or pushing something over here. That's the problem of being a Libra, balancing the scales, right? But there's a massive there's a massive double-edged sword to these philosophies that can quite quietly destroy any type of corporate culture. The first major caveat is the trap of emotional suppression. Okay. And this has always been my critique and problem with Stoicism. Okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Nietzsche also thought this as well, that there's a problem with the emotional suppression of what's happening. So a lot of leaders read Stoicism and think it means shutting off their emotions entirely to become cold, calculating machines. They suppress their feelings in the name of control, but real Stoicism is about emotional regulation, not emotional suppression, right? The idea behind it is that when emotions happen, you recognize the emotion, you feel the emotion, and then you let that emotion surpass, but you use that emotion to guide you in the decisions that you're making in the forward. So if you cut off your emotions, you lose all empathy. And there's a negotiation expert, Sherman Kurse, and he says you can't influence the room if you can't read the room. If you cannot connect with what your team or your clients are feeling, you lose your power to motivate them. You can't influence the room if you can't read the room. If you can't connect with what your team or your clients are feeling, you lose the power to motivate them, which is one of the reasons why I think broadly of things that are inside of the world and want to know about the things that are inside of the world. So I know what other people enjoy. So I know what other people could be feeling about these things. So I can read them inside of a room so that I can understand them. Your team starts to feel like pawns in a micromanagement chess game. The second major caveat is the danger of perfectionism and control. In power-driven organizations, managers often fall back on a medieval command and control. They expect absolute compliance and seek to eliminate all risk. But when you demand perfection, you destroy corporate culture. People become terrified of making mistakes. They stop taking risks, they stop trying new things, and they hide their errors to stay out of, say, their manager's crosshairs or their boss's crosshairs. Complacency ends up setting in, and innovation becomes completely impossible. Complacency is the enemy of innovation. Okay. If you want to stay innovative, whether that is making a new product or innovating in a policy or innovating in anything in a business, you need to make sure that your team doesn't get complacent. If your leadership style values winning above all else, healthy collaboration quickly devolves into a cutthroat dog-eat-dog environment where team members actively work against each other. And you don't want that specifically. So how can we bridge this gap? We do it by practicing Stoic Empathy. This is the ultimate modern leadership toolkit. It's the ability to use Stoicism to regulate your own reactions and maintain composure while using empathy to understand, support, and connect with your team. You stay clear-headed and compassionate. To build this muscle, there are 3 highly practical exercises. So first, the 2-column control exercise. So try this. I haven't started doing this. I found out about this while I was prepping for this episode. Every morning, write down 2 columns: within my control and outside my control. Under within, write your actions, team communications, and priority. Under outside, list client choices, technical failures. This exercise physical offload stress that keeps your focus where it drives results. Okay. So again, the idea is that you're looking to find out what's in your control because you can only change the things that are in your control. So you need to kind of be cognizant of that and not let the things that are outside of your control impact you, right? Second, there is a premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization. Before a major launch, spend 2 minutes visualizing potential setbacks like a technical delay or a scope change. By mentally preparing for adversity calmly, you reduce your emotional reaction. When challenges do arise, you won't panic. You'll immediately pivot to a constructive solution. So lately, when I've come up with a situation, what I try to do is I try to imagine like the worst possible outcome and how I would specifically react to it. Now, people think that you're going to manifest the negative thing, and that's not really how manifestation works. And so I would say that what you're actually doing is you're manifesting everything into your control in that situation, no matter what actually happens in the exterior world. Okay. Third, the view from above. When a minor crisis hits and a team panics, you need to force a step back. How will this matter in the long run? Step back to view things from a larger perspective. This is one that I always need to do. I get so fucking emotional so quick on certain things. And I'm like, dude, just calm down. Like, look at this from a higher overview. What does it actually mean? Does it mean the thing that which you're feeling? Is this a feeling about you? Because most of the time when we get upset, it's or mad, it's something that has to do with us, that it doesn't have to do with the other people that are involved with it, right? And so when you step back to view things from a larger perspective, this shifts your team from panic to long-term resiliency and learning. Okay. So when we look at the concept of Stoic and Samurai self-mastery, if someone adopts it, this is highly detached. It's like a warrior emperor mindset. Won't you just come across as cold and out of touch to a modern team? Right? Employees want a leader who is human and vulnerable, not a medieval general who treats them like cogs in a wheel. So how do you balance those two extremes? The mistake is thinking that stoicism and empathy are opposites. This is one of the things that I constantly have to think about in my mind, right? That you must choose to be either cold unfeeling stoic, or even an emotional empath. In reality, true stoic leadership is not about being a stone, it's about intentional choice. Okay, really, when you think about it, stoicism and why Musashi and these things are kind of related is because Musashi was a Buddhist, and in Buddhism you have to control your emotions. But if you've met Buddhists before, they're like the nicest, compassionate people on the effing planet, but that's because they have control over their emotions, so they can control the exterior world because they have control of their inner world. So think of a surgeon, a doctor, or an urban boxing coach teaching at-risk youth. When a crisis hits, if the leader panics and falls apart emotionally, they can't help anyone. Their self-regulation is what provides safety and stability for the team. But what self-regulation is driven by deep empathy for people they are leading. You regulate your panic because you care about the outcome of your team. That is a stoic empath, right? So when I'm flailing around all like, I don't know what's going on, and people see that, that's not good for the team. You control it by having control over your emotions. If you're an empath who over-identifies with everyone's stress, you end up burning out. If you're a stoic who suppresses all vulnerability, you burn bridges, but both lose influence. The magic is the middle ground, like Nagarjuna teaches us in Buddhism, that magic is building a response system based on situation and intention. You learn when to lean into empathy to read the room and when to step back and let stoic regulation guide your decisions. You aren't a general treating people like cogs. You're a calm, grounded anchor in a storm, showing up with a clear head and a compassionate heart. That is how you win the ultimate victory over yourself and build a culture that can survive anything. And it goes back, when Coach JV started reading. So I got introduced into Stoicism when I wanted to be a PhD in philosophy, right? So if you guys follow me, I like humanities. Anything humanities related is I love. But everybody was like, you can't make any fucking money with that. And maybe they were right. But now I have a bunch of money, so now I do the things that I want to do, I guess. And so, right, I think Professor Galloway is the closest person to what actually happens. Like, you have skills that you're good at. Use the skills that you're good at to make money. And then once you make money, you can enjoy the hobbies that you enjoy and try to make them make money for you. And that's what we need to stop telling kids. We need to stop telling kids to go after their passion. That's what he says. I think that there's a middle ground for that. I think that they shouldn't stop going after their passion. But, like for me, like I'm really good at legal stuff. I don't like legal stuff. I'm probably good at arguing with people, but I feel like shit afterwards. I don't like arguing with people. I like caring about people. I hate reading legal documents. I'm really good at reading legal documents because I enjoy philosophy and reading things of that nature, but legal documents are dumb to me and I hate them and I want to burn them when I have to read them or write them. And so like all of my money from a legal perspective, I think this year alone on stuff that I would have written, I have put 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, $30,000 into legal stuff because I don't like doing legal stuff, but I'm good at it, right? So I'm good at the analytic stuff, which I kind of like. I'm good at bookkeeping, that's fine. Taxes I really enjoy. But the point is that when you can do both of those things, right? You can find the thing that you're good at to make you money and then have fun enjoying the pursuit of your passions, of the things that you absolutely love. And I've changed my mind on that a little bit over the years. I used to say you could always make money doing something that you're passionate about. You could, but we need to have skilled workers that are doing cool shit in the world to move the world forward. But then we also have to make the time to do the things that we enjoy. But that part aside, so I used to get really into Stoicism back when I was studying philosophy. Specifically, I loved religion philosophy. And when CJV started learning about Marcus Aurelius over the last couple of years, he was always talking about it and like, I can't be emotional about these things. And I remember like, well, you can be emotional. That's not the point of Stoicism. The point of Stoicism is to have control over what's happening with your emotions so you're not blowing up all the time, right? CJV, as he mentioned today on our school call, would blow up, right, over, something or get, been out of shape over something. And now he's, really looking inward on how to be better at those types of things, right? Which is awesome. And that's what Stoicism is for us to have that type of control over how we're feeling about something, not to not feel, not to be a stone wall, be compassionate for the people, but you as the leader, you have to remain stoic in difficult situations because people are looking to you to lead, and you can't lead when your emotions are all over the place. But I recommend people go read Marcus Aurelius Meditations, go get the Dokudo to start learning this stuff. You can also get an Oxford Compendium to the Stoics, and I'm look at how you can introduce this into your personal life. And because leadership isn't just about business, leadership's about every aspect of our lives. We lead our families, especially if you're men. If you're a mom, you're probably leading your children, right? You're probably leading your household, depending on the family dynamic that you have, right? And so when we think about those things, these types of things, we can take them into everything in our lives. We try so hard in society to create these distinct separations from life, and life is just life. We're all inside of organizations or inside of processes that we can find, that we can use to make our world better. And we try to think of like these things. We're always like, we'll take leadership and family, leadership, right? Leadership, we only think about when we're thinking about it from a business perspective, but you lead so many things in your life that these things can be beneficial for. Everything in the world that you are doing for your business, you can do and do for your family, and will make you a stronger person for your family. But I digress. Go read Marcus Aurelius, go read Musashi, get into sword fighting. There's Kendo, there's fencing, there is Aikido. I can't. There is Naganatas is the main thing that I want to study after archery and fencing. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. The point is go learn cool shit, read Marcus Aurelius, become a warrior, get a warrior mindset, become a leader, lead your household, lead your family, and lead your community. As I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you soon. Bye.
Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, how does it feel? I see the meaning of life in your eyes. It's like swimming in the ocean at night. And when I'm with you, it's like I'm on fire. Nothing is real outside myself and your smile lines. Bring me down with sweet soft sound. My name, the way it sparkles when it leaves your mouth. Fill my soul